let's look at grounds upon which the courts can declare a marriage either void or voidable. When we talk about a void marriage, we're talking about that kind of marriage that does not have the force of the law, that is not recognized under the law. It's seen as void. There is no force of law. It is null and void and of no effect. Parties who contract such marriages do not have any benefits under the law. Now, there are grounds provided under our laws for the court to actually consider before declaring a marriage as a void marriage. One of such instances include where um, the parties are fully married under the law. In such a situation, the parties have not dissolved the subsisting marriage, and either of them goes ahead to contract a new marriage. That new marriage that is contracted will be declared void under the law. Another instance is where parties find themselves within the degrees of consanguinity and affinity. That is, people who are related by blood or the same ancestral descent. Such people cannot contract marriage, but the law has also made an exception for them where they have been granted a privilege to make an application to the judge, who will now inquire into the circumstance. Where he is satisfied, he can make an order granting them permission to contract a marriage. That is the provision of the law. Another one is where there is non-compliance with the law, where the parties did not comply with the laws that have been put in place to regulate marriage relationship. The law will also declare and consider that marriage to be void. The absence of consent from either of the parties is also another ground that the court can consider to declare a marriage void, either because the party or either of the party is mistaken as to the nature or the identity of the party or the nature of the marriage, or he was coerced into entering into that marriage, he was pressured, or there was a level of undue influence on either of the party. It can also be a ground to declare that marriage void. Or either of the party is not of marriageable age. A child is not expected to enter into a marriage relationship. So where the party, either of the party is not of marriageable age, it can also be a ground to declare a marriage void. On the other hand, when we talk about a voidable marriage, we are talking about marriage that is recognized as valid, as legal under the law. But because certain things happened, the courts have now been empowered to see them as voidable. When such things happen, it means that they can become void. Such instances include: one, incapacity to consummate the marriage. That since the inception of the marriage, since the commencement of the marriage, the parties have not been intimate. It can be a ground to consider the marriage or declare it as void. Where either of the party is of unsound mind, there is recurrent attacks of epilepsy and insanity, or a situation where there is a mental defect in either of the parties. And the law has gone ahead to describe what mental defect means, which includes a situation where there's incomplete mental development of either of the parties. You know, in reality, there are people who will cover this aspect of their children to ensure that that child gets into marriage. So for you who is now getting into that marriage to discover this mental defect, either the child is an imbecile who cannot actually take care of themselves, who cannot take care of themselves talk about taking care of another person, it can also be a ground for avoidable marriage. Or either of the party is suffering from a venereal disease, which is in a communicable nature, which means it is kind of disease that you can transfer from one person to another. It can also be a ground for avoidable marriage. Or the wife of the man is now pregnant for another man, where the marriage is still subsisting, and the man now discovers that his wife is now pregnant for another person. It can also be a ground for avoidable marriage. So, it's another day that you have received premium legal content to help you make informed decisions, help you live informed life, and help you bring out the very best version of yourself.